Hello, sweet souls. This is DTO in the flow. And wow, let's take a deep breath in through the nose. Open mouth, exhale. Let it out wherever you are. Let's get into our heart space. And you're going to want to know why we're going to be in our heart space, because I get to interview an amazing soul who has a company titled Heart Space. So today I get to have Lauren Autenrieth on the show. And Lauren is a San Diego-based yoga teacher whose classes are best described as powerful, dynamic, and heart-centered. Classes are designed to be a perspective-shifting experience of movement, creativity, and breath work. Lauren Autenrieth holds 500-hour advanced certifications in both Hatha and Vinyasa yoga. She has her continued education in various modalities, including Bhakti, Iyengar, yoga therapy, Thai massage, Yin, and pre- and postnatal yoga. Over the last decade, Lauren has come to believe that travel and experiences outside of your own are the foundations of empathy and understanding. If we as human beings are able to practice and live with mindfulness, seemingly small acts of kindness can make a profound impact. Lauren shares her passions both stateside and abroad through festivals, workshops, community events, and transformational retreats. And let's just put live streaming as the way the world is now with COVID-19 and everyone being quarantined. So she's still going to share all the magic that she gets to have with connection when it comes to what we're going to be creating online. And we have an event coming up we're going to share. When she isn't traveling, which is right now, Lauren is teaching yoga evenings at her home, snuggled up with her tiny puppies. Where are your puppies at? Let's see if we can get them on camera later. Dora and Manny. Lauren is the founder of the San Diego-based yoga and events company called Heart Space. And she offers private instruction, corporate yoga events, and one-on-one classes. So without further ado, let's bring on Lauren. And who's with me today?
Hi, I'm Dora.
Yes.
Dora with me here.
Hey, Dora.
The other one's a little camera shy, so he's hiding out over there. He also doesn't love to be held.
Dora's amazing.
Dora's the best.
Yeah, just like pops right in. Is this that was her live streaming debut, or has she probably been on many of your IG stories, maybe?
Manny usually loves the camera. He loves to get in front of the camera, but Dora lets me hold her, so she's the show off, you know.
Oh,
like
that's fun. Perfect. That's amazing. Well, first of all, I want to let you and all of the viewers know that this is a live streaming show right now. So anyone that would like to add comments, have any questions for Lauren or myself, you can do that in real time, and we're more than happy to answer those questions. So comment, ask question, and share. And feel free to start a watch party right now. And we're going to be speaking about yoga, Lauren's background in yoga, and also we'd love to know where you're located. As we mentioned, Lauren loves to travel. I love to travel. And I've had multiple expansive, experiences where if I wouldn't have been, I've traveled, lived, and studied in 13 countries. And so for me, it's, and then learning another language. And then, of course, you and I as Westerners, we get to learn this ancient practice from India called yoga. And so there's this combination of how we can synergize and really become like our highest and greatest selves through us absorbing information from other people. So we'd love to know where you're located out there. Just type it in the comments, and we can post your comments in real time, which is great. Sí, por favor. All right. And as I said before, feel free to start a watch party, and you can do that on Facebook. Just hit start a watch party, and other people can enjoy this interview with Lauren. And if you know Lauren, give her some love, put in the comments maybe how you know Lauren. And awesome. Well, let's kick it off with question number 1. Tell us about your personal journey with yoga, and why is it important to you?
Oh, well, first of all, good morning, and thank you for having me on. Our paths have crossed in so many different, on so many different planes in this life, between yoga and music and events. And I mean, we were even, I think, in Bali at the same time last year, which is really incredible.
Yes.
So, I feel like you and I have intersected so many times just in the last few years, and I really appreciate you having me here. And just, I love and appreciate everything that you do. So thank you. I feel like you very much add up to the up-leveling, of the collective. And we really need that right now. And we really need to have these conversations and to chat and to connect. And, even if it's virtually, like we're still connected, the energy is still there. So
absolutely. And I want to
thank you.
talk about our connection. Here is an event that we're going to be speaking more into, but we might as well share at the onset.
Yeah, throw it up there now.
There we go. Yeah, Sunset Live Music Vinyasa Dance Party, live streaming. It could be on Zoom. That's going to be on Friday, April 10th, 6:30, if you're Pacific Standard Time, or set your watches or your clocks or your calendars. And we'd love for you to be there. Yep.
Yeah. Stay up late, East Coast.
Totally. Yeah. And remember, this is now global. So that's maybe something before I jump into your background in yoga. Do you have this perspective right now that in the past we had these walls where you could only fit 20 mats in a studio or 30 mats? Now it's like, oh my gosh, there are no walls, and we get to have, for example, I was teaching and guiding and using my, trilogy of albums to do a class recently on Zoom, and there are people from all over the world in this class, and it's like on Zoom you see all these, it's like the Brady Bunch times a million. You see all these screens and squares of all these human beings.
Yeah.
So how have you been experiencing that, where the old paradigm was a brick and mortar, or you'd have to be at a physical, or you and I did that rooftop yoga event with Sutra.
Yeah, the rooftop event. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think we're still really craving that that connection, that physical connection. But I think that because we're taking this time to step back and the paradigm is shifting, people are really diving into what it means to connect virtually. And it's been an experience for me, a learning curve for me, and I've been loving every second of it. And it's been great because I have been able to incorporate people who maybe never would have met or never would have come in contact with one another right here on the mat and in the comfort of their own home. And it adds a little bit more too, like some of us are really feeling what's happening right now in a big way. And I think also the opportunity to practice from home allows you to shut you shut your audio off, you shut your video off, like you're still having your own personal experience and you're being guided, but that you're supported and being held up by the rest of the community who's there, in Sangha, essentially with you on the mat. And I think that's really important.
Yeah. And wouldn't you say that, at least for me, one of the lessons of yoga is adaptability, flexibility?
Yeah. And everything yoga teaches us is about learning to let go, right? We're trying not to hold on to these old patterns and habits. The whole purpose is to grow and evolve and to change and to know that it's going to be constantly happening and there's nothing we can do about it. It's going to be how we respond. And we want to respond. We don't want to react. And I think a lot of that comes with practice, definitely, right? Like even now we're all triggered by things. We all feel very deeply. We all have instances where we either show up as our best selves or sometimes we don't. And that's okay too. Like we're allowed to have a human experience. And I think that has been the biggest thing that this has really taught me.
Absolutely.
Is showing up in a new way. And I've really been enjoying it. And I think students have too. And I've had so many great conversations that have really sprung from this about, where we'll go and what will happen and how we're showing up for each other and the shifts that are taking place in the world and the kindness that you're seeing from people, everybody wanting to help, wanting to show up, wanting to do more. And I think that's going to be something really powerful that we continue to do. And I hope I continue to see, and I'm sure I will.
Wow. I agree. And that's that service and generosity that I feel the yoga practice that a lot of us has gone deeper into. We're like, we're Atma, we're these beings, we're here in a sense to be of contribution. And that's, really what I feel we're going to dive deeper into when we get into some of the questions, which we'll be going over is like, how did you get into this pathway and how are we, you and I, and so many people viewing right now, like there's this global yoga movement that's taking place and there's benefits and results that we get to have, right? And we get to be in our heart space, just like your extraordinary company. And I'm going to put the website up for anyone that would like to know about Heartspace. It's helloheartspace.com, and virtual classes is how you can find the offerings that Lauren is putting up in every day. And there's a new shift and they're talked about being flexible and adaptable, right? It's like,
it's not just for your body, man. It's more for your mind, right? This is where the expansion happens. So, I know you asked me about my personal yoga journey.
I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, I grew up in Southern California, very close to here in San Diego. And at 17, I moved to New York City. My family had been from the East Coast, and they decided to move back. So when I graduated high school, I kind of took that leap, and I went to college there. My yoga was always kind of like in the background. Like it was so funny. I just like I remember having like very I can't even remember my first yoga class, but I can remember like little experiences of it like presenting itself like in my life. Like I took a yoga class like in an old hotel ballroom with a friend at one point, and I
Oh,
did it as a
cool.
one credit course in college. Like I just needed to fill up that one credit, and
Oh,
and
cool.
I thought it was like so weird at the time. It's like this old guy teaching me yoga, like talking about all these like concepts that I was just like, what is this woo woo,
Yeah.
um, and then once I graduated from college, a friend invited me to a hot series studio. And I kind of fell in love with like the heat and the intensity of
Mm,
that. And I'm a Leo, like give me any kind of heat, give me any kind of fire,
mm.
and I will fan the flame. And so for me, that was a weight loss journey, like many. And I loved it, but I felt like it was missing something. Like I could literally feel that there was a piece to my practice that was missing. I was like loving the movement, and I felt so embodied in a way that I never had before, but I
Yeah.
didn't really have, there was something missing. I was like, I know there's more to this. Like just from the few classes I had taken before that,
Yeah.
I knew there was a deeper connection, a bigger connection. And I had just gotten out of like my first devastating, long-term relationship. And I was just like unhealthy and like in this space where I think it was time to shift. And yoga had just continued presenting itself to me throughout my life over and over and over again. It just kept, knocking on the door and being like, hey, don't forget about me. I'm here. I'm here if you need me. And I don't even know how I found her, but I can't remember at this time, but in about 2007, I found a woman named Claire Diab, who is an international yoga therapist and teacher, inspirational speaker. She co-founded Deepak Chopra's 7 Spiritual Laws teacher training.
Mm.
And I found her in West Orange, New Jersey, and I did her 200-hour hatha training. And from there, my mind was just blown. I like came out of that training just like stripped bare and like, what am I going to do with all of this information that I've just gathered, and I was so allured by everything yoga had to offer, and how to step into it in a way that would be, of service, that would be fun. So once I completed that, I started just teaching like a free class. I was a snowboard instructor at the time. So I
That's
taught
cool.
it. Yeah. Yeah. I taught it to the other snowboard instructors, once a week after a big hard day of riding on the mountain, we'd all gather in a room, we'd strip off our like wet clothes and like down to our underlayers, and we'd all move and breathe together. And at the time I was kind of, I was like, I don't even know what I'm really doing here. I just started teaching, like, but it was so crazy to see, my peers, my friends, my colleagues move and breathe in this room. And I think that was the first time I really realized like, wow, like this is powerful, like
Mm,
even as a new yoga teacher, I could feel the gravity of what teaching really meant. And I could
yeah.
feel the shifts that were taking place, and just how you could incorporate it into this just like daily life, right there, in that sweaty, youthful, smelly room. It was glorious. I was like, this is it.
Yes.
um, so I did some kids yoga stuff, and I thought that was going to be my path. I really thought the kids yoga thing was going to be where I went with that. And I got a job teaching kids yoga, um, literally like a month before I decided, you know what, I'm moving back to California. And I thank that woman so much. I said, thank you. I would love to do this, but I think my path is calling me elsewhere. And I took the leap and I moved back to San Diego. Um, and then I found this world of like vinyasa and chaturangas and flip
Yes.
dogs and flowing. And it was such a different yoga experience than I had previously. Like East Coast is even still very hatha based. Like it's a little
Mm,
bit more of a slower pace. People there walk for in it all day, every day, that's what they're doing. So and it's such an intense city that their yoga practice is more for slowing down. And they do have now a little bit more vinyasa, but back in
yeah.
2007, 2006, it was like Bikram or Hatha, those were your options. So to come
Yeah.
here and really experience that, I was just engaged and I was in love and I was like, this is what I want to do. Like, and it was so different. On just all of my yoga experience had been older teachers, right? Like
Yeah.
in the seat of the guru, like teaching this history and teaching this oral tradition and teaching these movements and these meditations and these breathing techniques. And then to come here and see these like young, fit, like energetic teachers, like it was such a shift. And I was really inspired, and I continue to be inspired every single day by our community. And that's how I fell into vinyasa. I did my training. I did another 200-hour training at Indie Yoga, and later a 500-hour with Daniela Kent, who's an incredible human.
Yes.
Yeah, and Brooke Kettering was my 200-hour vinyasa trainer, and she just a beautiful human and a very smart woman as well. Very based in yoga therapy, and I feel super grateful to have had the people I had fall into my path and allow me to learn from them.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. So the next question and really comes into like your first question share around, right? So you get activated, you get awakened, you feel, the health benefits and mind, body, spirit, and obviously being heart-centered human being. And then what inspired you to teach?
I really started teaching in 2013, and at first I wasn't inspired to teach.
Yeah.
At first I was terrified. I had a lot of trauma around how I show up in front of people, how I use my voice, my sense of worth, how I process emotion. It took me a long time to learn that there was a connection between my fear of teaching and all of those traumas, and how I step into a healing space with that. And I think the practice and teaching is what really helped me heal, right? It was learning to show up and be like, I'm here, I'm taking up space, and I'm worthy of taking up this space. And so for me, the practice of teaching was still a practice. It was very, very much, the first class was the longest hour of my life, but I'm so glad I did it, because it taught me to step into that space of fear and really grow from it. And I think a lot of my yoga journey and a lot of teaching, and I know I'm not alone in this, but has been all about the undoing. The undoing of those patterns and those habits that we hold onto from childhood and, from things that our experiences, good or bad. And, healing just the body as a whole, the mind as a whole, and being able to say, I am worthy and my voice should be heard. And I think not allowing yourself to be defined by past mistakes too is a really big one. You step into a space, and I don't know if you've done this, but sometimes I'm like, everybody knows all my secrets, like you start talking to a room and all of like the worst things that you've ever thought or done start to pop into your head. Right. And so for me, this was an experience of really getting over that and learning to make friends with the ego and learning to make friends with my mind and to remind myself that I don't need to be this hard on myself all the time. So when I first started teaching, it was very much a healing journey for me. And I think once I started feeling a little bit of the shift, which, didn't take long, maybe like a year in, I was like, okay, you know what, I think, and that was, I think, when I started to be like, okay, now how can I really be of service, like in the studio space? And I think that it's important that new teachers remember that too. Like, this is a journey into teaching. Like, it's going to take some time. You're not going to be perfect right off the bat, and that's okay. Like your students are still going to show up. They want to see your growth. They want to see your struggles. It makes you human. It makes you relatable. It makes you human. We're all human. We're doing this yoga dance together, So and heal yourself, heal the world,
Completely. Yeah. And I feel like what I'm hearing as well is like, there's power within vulnerability, where
very much
the paradigm in the past was maybe, if you're vulnerable, you're weak, and someone's going to take advantage of, who you are. You're going to be like beat down energetically or something of that sort. So how is it that, have you had these moments where you are this authentic version of yourself, where then like, what do your students say to you? And what are some like testimonials or praise that you get for you showing up as you?
I get, and I used to hate this compliment. I used to think it was so obnoxious. I used to get relatable a lot. And the reason I didn't like it was because I think that was more like trauma around being like a curvy yogi, like what it means to not have like, this like Instagram model yoga body. And so when people said relatable, I almost felt like they were being like, yeah, because you look like, like a normal person. And for me, I was like, ew, like, no, I want to be special. But we're all special, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you look like. This practice was not designed for us to be athletes. This practice, and one of my favorite things that was ever said to me was by Sophia over at Mosaic.
Oh, I know Sophia. That's a sweet call.
Yeah, and a brilliant teacher and a heart-centered teacher. And one of the things she said in her classes was, the movement, the postures, like, I hate to tell you this, but they're just a gimmick. Like, you're here to move and to breathe, but you are doing these movements not for your physical body. Like, you are doing this for your heart. You're doing this for your mind. You're doing this so that you can have a full human experience without having to be so hard on yourself. Let that go. And that day I was just like, whoa, some things people say to you just hit you in a certain way. And that really did. Show up for yourself. Keep showing up for yourself. Yeah.
Aho. And Marco, he's here with us in real time. He said, teaching us as a journey is a beautiful idea. So that's the whole concept. Like, we are the students within, and we are the teachers within. That's really powerful.
And you have to continue being a student as a teacher. You can't, or else what are you teaching? Like the practice is always evolving. The world is always evolving, right? And how we can relate it to the world is always evolving. And I think that's really powerful.
Absolutely. And that really gets into my third question, which is to evolve, right? Like, besides live events, you're doing live streaming events. And let's go back to kind of that moment when you started teaching. Now you're in this momentum, this flow. So why are you passionate about events?
So events were, I kind of just had an idea. I was like, oh, let's do an event. I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we could take people outside of their studio space and bring them all together into this like collective space where they can connect. Because a lot of times we're out of the studio, you show up, you do your practice, you got to hurry up and get out of there. We have places to be, things to do.
Yes.
And one of the things I really wanted was I was teaching at that time at so many different studios, and I kept meeting people who had so many similar interests. No matter what it was, especially in San Diego where we're very active, there's all these outdoorsy things to do. We've got runners and hikers and climbers, and the list is endless. Surfers, so I kept meeting these people and being like, oh man, you would really love this person. And so my goal was always the connection. And that's kind of how Heartspace came to be, was I really wanted to bring people together. And I really just wanted to introduce all of my friends to each other. I just wanted to be like, oh my God, you guys would be the best friends, And that's kind of how this came to be. And so when I transitioned into events and leadership, it was more about showing up in a way for students where they could have the opportunity to practice in a different sense. And, back in 2013, we didn't have as much social media noise as we do now. So, it was kind of like, it was all word of mouth. You're like, come on, let's all get together. Maybe you posted a Facebook event, and everybody showed up, and you moved and you breathed together. And, the first time I did it, I was just like, this is it. This is incredible. I want to be surrounded by people who love what I love all the time. And I want to create something that sparks curiosity and, brings passion and, maybe introduces students to things they've never done before. And let's do it in a creative and fun way, because why not? We get to live this life. Let's live it through joy. Let's live it through love. Let's live it through fun. Like, we can infuse both into this practice, and as much as I think that yoga is a very serious practice, and I think that there's a lot of work that gets done, I think you still need to make time for, to be childlike, to play, essentially. And I know you love to do that, and I love to do that. And my goal is my goal is to just keep playing,
Absolutely.
keep being young and keep bringing people together.
I love that. And joy, passion, and infusing that, and celebration of life is really that moment where we can come together. And you and I share the same Jedi skill of being connectors. I love to connect. Yes. You love to connect. And then, of course, it makes sense that we connected with each other through people connecting us. So it's like a ripple
100%. And this community that we have, especially here in San Diego, just because I know it so well, is just it's so fulfilling, and there's so much. There's just so many of us who are trying to step into that space where we really bring people together, and I think I really appreciate that. Sorry.
Is that Dora?
Dora. Yeah, Dora. Hey, Dora.
Ven aquí. Ándale pues. Dora la exploradora.
I know. Exploradora.
All right. While Lauren is wrangling Dora, I want to share with everyone the website, and we are going to be offering our class here. And if you go to helloheartspace.com/virtual classes, you can see that you can sign up. And here is the Facebook link right here. And so, of course, it's besides remembering all those numbers, you can simply go to the website, which I'll put on the screen right now for you, helloheartspace.com/virtual classes. And this is what we're offering. So it looks like we have Dora that's going to answer the fourth question. Is Dora ready for the question? Okay. All right, Dora, where are you?
Dora is, yeah.
All right, so
she likes to alert us when people come up. Dora. Oh my God.
All right, so my fourth question, and maybe Dora's maybe singing right now, and you talked about play, so playing music and integrating and infusing music into your classes. Let us know, like, how do you integrate music?
So music I love, and I love to make playlists. I love the experience that music brings, right? It brings a whole new element. And I love the feeling, especially of like when you have a playlist that you've been using for a while and you really know it. You know it inside, you know it outside, you know when the beat is going to drop, so that you really start to plan your classes like almost around this like energy and vibe that the music is creating. And I know that we do that very well together. The few times that we have worked together, and I really enjoyed that. And I think music it can be such a catalyst for healing, for joy, right? All of those things that we've talked about, for fun, for movement, for experiences. There's just so many things that music brings to the table. And I think I never even had thought about music, and again, until I started doing vinyasa. Like hatha practice had always been in a quiet room. It was just you and your teacher. And that was very much my experience until about 2013. So then I show up to San Diego, and all of these teachers are, they're playing like music I've never heard before. And there's this like element of like the festival experience. And again, like really stepping into like moving and breathing with feeling and with the music behind that feeling. And so I think that's probably been one of my favorite things about stepping into this world of vinyasa and practice, and just being able to integrate so many different elements into class, and to really use it as a tool.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, think of those moments when you're either arriving on your mat and you do the integration series. It's basically like wherever you were, even if, we're all in our homes right now, whatever space you were in, if you were watching something that was disturbing, if, you just woke up from a nap and you're like, where am I? When you can just bring music into your space, it's almost like it can create a groundedness. And at the same time, it can really inspire movement. And as you know, for anyone out there that doesn't have an asana practice, and by the way, asana is the movement practice of yoga. Yeah. And you're basically putting your body in different shapes and postures when you do asana. And there's this whole concept called breath to movement that you and I know, Lauren, and we're live streaming on the San Diego Yoga Teachers page and other locations, and they know this. But I feel like because our heart space, when people say like, oh, I don't have rhythm or I can't play music, I'm like, wait a minute, you are rhythm. Your heart is beating. And when you're in like your Sun A, Sun B, warrior, there is this cadence or this breath of movement that happens where, similar to what Sophia said, it's not just about your body. It's like all of a sudden it's like you're cleansing your mind of whatever worries or problems, or your heart is just expanding. It's like everything can shift into this fresh, energetic space. And yeah, so that's really powerful. And what I have is I have a yoga playlist of the month that I started. I know you create your playlists. And so for our class that's happening Friday, I'll be, showcasing a lot of my original music and really like allowing for the energy of the music to provide that breath to movement flow, as well as there's going to be a dance party, right?
Oh yeah, we're gonna get down afterwards. Yeah, Dave will play us some tunes and we'll really shake down after our movement. Yeah. And so much of yoga is non-attachment, and it's letting go of the idea that you have to look a certain way or move a certain way. The Patabi Joyce said, do your practice, all is coming, right? It's just, it's about showing up. It's just about showing up over and over. It's that devotion to the practice, right? Your tapas, your discipline, you're showing up for yourself over and over again. And I think that the experience of that is that repetitive opening. I don't even know how to describe it. You show up and you just you do this practice and you're not really sure why, but every single time, as soon as that practice is over, you are, you feel like you're in this whole new world, in this whole new heart space, right? And your heart is not just your center of your compassion and your love and your empathy and your joy, but it extends out from you, right? Like your hands are extensions of your heart, and right now we're unable to physically touch one another. But that doesn't mean that the energy isn't still there. And recently, especially in classes, I've been encouraging students to place their hands on their own bodies and just imagine.
Give yourself a hug.
Yeah, give yourself a hug. Or just imagine that you're sending energy to those parts to others. You can visualize that energy transferring from yourself to others, and there's so much that you can do with your heart space, and it's just opening it up and letting it go, letting it out there.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel also like we're so used to being with someone that's adjusting. And so if you have your own props, or if you find like a tennis ball, what I've realized is you can just kind of get on your living room floor, bedroom floor, and you can find these ways to just roll it out and just feel that connectedness, where you're adjusting yourself. And I do recognize like self-care is a big theme coming up, right? Huge theme.
Yeah. And really important, especially right now, especially with, the collective energy being kind of in a space of like stuckness and uncertainty. Being able to move through that on your own is going to become paramount to your own personal practice, right? You want to move through that, you have to do the practice. And I think what's really beautiful about yoga is that it's shifted in such a way that you can really incorporate so many different movement modalities into your practice. Like it's no longer just, those traditional like Hatha Yoga Pradipika postures, right? Like we're incorporating so many variables into our movement, plyometrics and bar and dancing and martial arts. There's just like so much that you can add. And I think that it doesn't matter if your practice is high energy or if you're taking the time to slow down, like just showing up, just being there for yourself and really tapping into what it means to be there for yourself, I think is really important. Back bends are my jam, but that doesn't mean that that's what you have to be doing every day. You know what I mean? Sometimes just laying on your mat for 20 minutes, taking a little yoga nap is fine. Little yoga nidra.
I love that.
And there's so many like online tools and teachers to follow, right? Like the most beautiful thing that I've been loving about all of this is just seeing so many teachers show up online and doing classes. All of us were so afraid before. Do you remember just a month ago when all of us were like, oh, I don't know if teaching in front of a camera is for me.
Right.
And now here we are. And I was one of those people too. I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to show up. Like, and again, that was healing trauma around showing up, because we think we have these pressures on ourselves, right? Like that the outside world is constantly judging us. And so then we are
Yeah.
constantly judging ourselves. And I think being able to let that go really opens us up, really gives us even more space to grow, right? Because that's what you need. You let go of the old so that there new things can come.
Absolutely. And I almost heard you when you were saying about being on camera, it almost took me back to your question too, when you talked about teaching, how it brought up a lot for you emotionally. And, and it's interesting right now, I wonder your perspective on this, is some of the feelings and emotions that we're feeling as like the collective consciousness on the planet, with news, with everyone sensing anxiety, crisis. Do you feel like how do you have like a tool for maybe someone that's watching, that how can you ensure like what's going on is actually in your heart space and you're maybe absorbing that energy, like it's not authentically what's coming through your heart space? And how do you kind of find that balance? What do you do for that?
Yeah, I mean, there's, like I said, there's so many tools for really finding the ways that you can tap into yourself and you can tap into your own tools. Like a lot of times we have the tools, we just don't know how to use them, right? And breath work, meditation, movement, like all of these things, I think you should be moving your body every single day. And I notice on days where I don't really move my body, those are the days where my mind convinces me that I have so much work to do, that I don't have time to take a break, and I know that we're all victim to falling into the busy,
guilty.
the busy trap, right? We all get sucked into that. And if we're not taking the time to move and breathe or just sit, take a minute, do something that you thoroughly enjoy. And you can find meditation in so many things, in so many ways. People have reached out to me and they're like, I was planting plants today, and I really have been wanting to garden for so long, and I haven't taken the time to do it. And I think those little things that we're doing now to keep ourselves sane and to keep ourselves moving, have almost become meditations in themselves. Like cleaning your house, or, really like clearing out your space, or, taking just like a very short walk around the block, just getting yourself outside and moving your body. Like there's so many ways you can do it. And I think there's no right or wrong way. I think there are innumerable ways. And I hope everybody takes the time. Yeah. And a lot of that is it's going to present itself as so much love in the heart, when you take that time to care for yourself, because we have to heal ourselves, right? Where nobody's going to heal our own traumas for us. We have to show up for ourselves, and we have to show up diligently, and we have to show up daily. And when we do that, I think that's when we feel the shift, right? That's when the energy shifts. And also the more that we fill up our own cup, the more that we're able to hold those people who are maybe struggling more than we are. And
Absolutely.
so many people, like, I don't know how to feel right now. I don't know, I'm really struggling with the weight of all of this, are things that I've heard. And I feel that so much, so if we want to keep that, if we want to keep it light, and if we want to keep it up here, so we're not coming down to that fight or flight space, I think that's going to be really journeying to your heart, however makes you happy.
And so there's an opportunity for people to move. So my fifth question is, when is your next live streaming event?
Oh my goodness. Our next live streaming event, it's tomorrow night. Yes, Sattva. Sattva is balance.
We got a flash in the screen. Here we go.
Yeah, our next event, Sattva, is tomorrow night. It's a sunset live music and vinyasa with a little dance party after 6:30 Pacific time. So for East Coasters, that is 9:30. It is a little bit late, but you guys are used to staying up a little bit later than us West Coasters anyway. So hop on in. It's a Friday night. Music curated by DTO. That's you, Dave Kemp. Yeah, the master of sound.
Thank you.
Yeah. He is our local celebrity. So if you guys don't know Dave Kemp, you're gonna get to know him tomorrow night. You can sign up for this event for free. The link for our Facebook event, I believe, I'll post it in the comments if it's not up here. You can also go to helloheartspace.com/virtual classes. There's a link there as well.
And you can go to Instagram, right? Here's Instagram, Hello Heartspace, because we want to get you some additional follows here from people.
And please follow.
Yeah, bring the love. And yeah, so from here you can click directly, boom, and you'll go to, and as you were speaking about earlier, moving the body, really inspirational photos here that can get people to recognize the movement and the connection of nature, being in, all these beautiful settings. Super inspirational. I love it. Yeah. So then the website, let's go here. So this is Lauren's website, Heartspace, retreats, virtual studio, and events. And so if you click virtual studio, then you just simply scroll down and you can see her schedule, as well as here is the event. And from here, there's a Facebook event link that we'd love for you to sign up and explore. It's if you want to make any contribution, we honor that. And we really want people to come and get their groove and their move and their yoga flow on for there to be, just there's stuck energy, all of us, it's almost like the virus or Mother Earth or the planet has said, like, go to your room, you're punished.
And I've heard that a lot. And I think this is also a really good opportunity. And I know we've been on here for a while, so I'll wrap it up pretty quickly. I think one of the things I've been hearing with that too is forgiveness, right? And I think that we can spend time forgiving ourselves for things, but also there is a system in place that is not set up to support our natural world, right? We already know it. We already know that there are forces beyond our control that aren't supporting our environment, sustainability, the earth in general, health, humans, lower and middle class families. There are so many ways in which we're not supported that I think it's important for us to hold space in our hearts for forgiveness, because I think that's going to be our level up, or else what's going to happen is we're just going to be another group of people complaining about the other side. You know what I'm saying? Totally. So I think one of my favorite quotes ever comes from Mark Twain. And he said that forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it. And I think it's really powerful if you can be that change, if you can be that fragrance, if you can be the person who's still shining and still holding their head up high and still opening their heart to things and still allowing that space for forgiveness. That is where our shift is going to happen, and that's where the change is going to happen. And it starts with you. That's all. That's it. It's one person can do just as much as 10,000, and it's just about showing up in a big way.
Well, we appreciate you for showing up and being here and sharing your life. I appreciate you,
and I'm very much looking forward to tomorrow night. So thank you. And if you are pre-registering for the event, make sure you do that on the Facebook link. Pre-registration is required, and that's so that we have your email so we can send you the Zoom link. So that, and then we will have a virtual tip jar so that you can make some donations to our lovely music curator, Mr. DTO. Yeah, and please do so. Share the love. We're all here to support one another. And Dave, thank you so much. I always appreciate spending time with you.
Oh, equally. Yeah. And I really loved how, we're able to break the barriers, even though we're these pixelations right now in this digital world.
Totally.
We get to still feel each other's hearts and really dive deep into who we are and who we're becoming, and who, like, beyond that, it's almost like just getting it. Like, I am worthy. I am enough. I am present. I am alive. We have breath. It's like at the beginning. I mean, but we welcome everyone to take a deep breath, and that's what we get to do, is to, despite of whatever we're feeling. And I really, really am admiring how you shifted so quickly to be like, all right, live streaming classes, and then you reached out to me and like, let's do this. Let's actually serve others and get people on their mats and get their movement and groove. And
right. And
Friday night.
Absolutely. And I would be remiss if I didn't say how super grateful I am for the students who continue to show up, who continue to move and to breathe. And, like, the community is what makes this movement incredible. It's not you, it's not me, it's us, right? It's the collective, and it's all of us showing up together in this way. And I appreciate everyone so much. Thank you. Thank you if you're watching. I appreciate you
Yeah,
guys for
thank
being
you.
here. Thank you to Dave.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're welcome. Thank you for being here. And if anyone out there that's watching, um, you know, most people have a pretty open calendar right now, and
Yeah.
put it on
Hop on.
your calendar and join us. We'd love your presence, your energy. And what's so fun about Zoom classes that we're creating is we get to see each other. We got to, you know, as much as possible, you know,
Yeah.
just really be connected. And, you know, we all are in this together. Like, not in a long time in human history, since like 1918 when the other big epidemic flu hit. But now with this COVID-19 virus, like, we all as a planet are in this, and it's without choice, but at the same time, now we get to choose. And Marco gave us some
Yeah.
good love here. We're both super inspiring.
Thank you, Marco.
Thank you, Marco. Marco's an amazing
Yeah.
human being and talented guitarist, musician. And imagine that I hang out with other musicians. We all
Other musicians,
it's
weird.
like yoga teachers and yoga event coordinators. We all find each other somehow.
Totally.
It's like these
Absolutely.
electromagnetic waves are like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And then we have, you know, social media connections, text, phone, WhatsApp, TikTok, all that. Hey, by the way, my music's on TikTok. It's pretty fun.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're
Now.
on that platform, and that's what's great, we get to be connected. And again, I want to make sure that everyone knows your website. You can go directly to Hello Heartspace. And beyond the virtual classes, what I was loving about your website is, you know, there's a lot of other information out there. When I was at the top, you know, you can definitely, the workshops, the retreats, you have a blog, and you have different topics that you speak into.
Yeah.
Right. You talk about your Bali trip, and
Bali is so transformational and so incredible. And you know, we will travel again, friends. So stay connected, and we'll have more on that. And yeah, browse through the blog.
Foods for detox, and all this is great.
And I'm not giving up on yoga pool party just yet for this summer. So, you know, we're gonna wait and see what happens. But, you know, hopefully we'll all be gathering in person sooner rather than later. But for now, I really enjoy connecting with you.
Absolutely.
Connecting with you guys virtually. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Blessings to you, to Dora, to Manny. Oh, I heard Dora.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, yeah. Everyone's
Uncle DTO says hi.
DTO. Oh my God. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dave. You guys have a very beautiful rest of your Thursday and weekend, and we will see you tomorrow night.
Yes. Join us. Thank you. Much love. Blessings.